Hi, I just thought I'd do this for Easter. Normally, nothing's normal anymore. I used to go away at Easter. I used to go on a holiday at Easter, and it was always good. I enjoyed it. I used to eat out in restaurants and things like that, and generally live at large. But just lately, in fact, this Easter, I've been to the pub, and that's an okay thing to do. In fact, I think it's a very okay thing to do. And I went to the pub the other night. One night, I can't remember which night it was. And I went in and sat with a bunch of people I normally sit with, and we were chatting away and had a few drinks, and one thing led to another. We were just sort of having a bit of jive talk, like you talk in pubs, just rubbish stuff. And we started doing silly stuff, like quoting rhymes and stuff like that. And things like, twice she went to the doctor's name was Hunt. He pulled out a stethoscope and stuck it on a front. And it was just ridiculous stuff, making us giggle like mad. And then we were trying to think up new ones then, twice she went to the doctor's name was Jim. He pulled out his stethoscope and tried to listen in. Or just, weird things like that. Twice she went to the doctor's name was Hinge. He pulled out a stethoscope and just played around with it. And we were just goofing around like that, and one of the guys just said to me, he said, "There's a dwarf in here tonight. Have you seen the dwarf?" No, I haven't seen the dwarf. And he said, "Well, there's a dwarf in here." And he said to me, "Next time you just look around, Jack, Jack? I'm not Jack. I'm Jacques. It's Jacques. Get it right. I'm French." Well, my mother was French. She thought she was French. She smoked gitan and wore Mouget perfume. It was spelt Mugget, but just it. She used to eat pate and stuff like that, and drink wine out of a tumbler, which is really groovy. I mean, we're talking about a long time ago, and stuff like that. And she listened to Edith Piaf and Charles Aznavour. It's a great influence on me. Anyway, we were just there and playing these stupid bloody games about twice she went to the doctors and all that sort of stuff. And then just in the corner of my eye, whoa, I just saw something, and it was a dwarf. The tiniest, hear that? The tiniest little person I'd ever seen. Really tiny, and I'm going to say they, because I want to hide their identity. They were drinking wine out of a glass. And it was like a goblet. It was like this little person had a huge goblet, a magic goblet, a Harry Potter goblet type thing, full of wine, and leaned against the bar like that, leaned against the bar, and it went. That's the noise of the glass going on there. That's how little they were. They put the bloody wine glass up on the bar there. Gee, bloody whiz, they were pissed. They were pissed as a fart, all over the place. Bumping into things, wobbling around the place. And something really funny happened. And it didn't happen once. It happened many. Ah, Jesus Christ. They're back. They're gone. They were bumping into people, and it was so hilarious. As blokes all stood up in a pub, people all stand everywhere. No matter where you stand in a pub, and somebody wants to get through, don't they? Wants to get between you and the person you're talking to. It always happens in the pub, no matter where you are, which pub it is, and some fucker wants to come through, That tends to irritate me a little bit. But nevertheless, it's what happens. And this little dwarfy person, bumping into the back. Bumping into the back of people like that, and they would go, and they look over their shoulder because they wanted to see who bumped into them, but actually they were bumping into the back of their bloody legs, and they didn't look down, and I'm sure a lot of people didn't notice the bloody dwarf there. And actually, I've had nightmares. Gee, I don't know what's happened to me. I've had nightmares about dwarfs or vertically challenged people or midget. I don't know what the proper word is. What is the proper word for them? I mean, there's got to be a proper word. But I don't know what the bloody word is. But anyway, I've had nightmares about them. And it resulted from a circus. I went to a circus. My mother took me to a circus. I was only a small child. I can remember I was wearing a check shirt. I've still got check shirts now. I think I've probably had check shirts all my life. I think most blokes got check shirts, haven't they, you know? And one of these dwarfs in the circus, they were like a part of the clown act and stuff. You know, to come on in between when the horses were running around the place and there was a woman lying on the horse's back or jumping on it or standing on it, all those bloody things used to happen. And this little dwarfy thing ran up the steps and right along the aisle where I was sat on my lap, you know. And it was, even though I was a kid, you know, it was a bony, heavy little bloody thing. It was horrible. It frightened me to death. And I've had nightmares about them. I've had nightmares since, you know, like they're funny nightmares, mind you know, because I got dogs and I walk through these fields and one of my dreams, they're back. They're back, I know. Anyway, one of these dreams, you can't get it right. One of these dreams, you know, is when I walk in the field and there's about 30 or 40 of these bloody dwarfs in the field. They're all hiding about the place, in the bushes and the ferns and stuff like that, in the hedgerow and stuff. And the dogs go up and they start barking and they're looking at them and they run out and I chase them with sticks and they scream and they just, in my dream they're able to jump. They're able to jump twice their height or something. And it's like a computer game. It's hilarious, you know, it really is, you know. And then I wake up with a guilt thing because it's not diverse, is it, you know? But it's very funny when it happens, but it's a nightmare because I feel guilty. Anyway, I came away from the pub and I got a taxi home with my mate. I don't know who he is, but they're always your mates. And apparently it's not appropriate to sit in the front, I've heard, but I sit in the front, fuck 'em. And always ask him how much it is. It's always the same amount of money, and you know, and all that sort of stuff. And I come in the house and I chill. I listen to a little bit of music, you know, and just to relax me before I go to bed in case I have a nightmare. And I listen to stuff like this, you know. I quite like it, you know. It's sort of. Sort of relaxing, isn't it, you know? You can float to this. I float. And that's about it, really. Happy Easter.